CBS had rigorous Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour alteration regulations. Every second was monitored. Every word was reviewed. One thing got through on September 17, 1967. Editors missed it. No supervisor saw it. Only later did the brothers discover. In The Who Show, the camera accidentally caught something in the backdrop that verified what everyone suspected but couldn't. The Smothers Brothers began with sadness. Army Major Thomas B. Smothers, Jr. was their father. The Philippines was his 1941 World War II location. He was sent away with Ruth and their two boys when Japan invaded. Major Smothers was apprehended. He survived the Bataan Death March. He was then transported to Fukuoka No. 22, a filthy Japanese prison. Near the end of the war in April 1945, he was too unwell to work. April 25th saw him move from Fukuoka to Korea. He never arrived. Some news reports indicate he was buried at sea. Some believe he was burned at the Korean stake. Only 36 of the 110 men he transferred survived. Last to die was Major Smothers. Tom, 1937, and Dick, 1938, were raised by Ruth. While growing up in California, their mother worked long hours. People with hard lives were mocked for years. That hilarious show began at the Purple Onion in 1959, a modest San Francisco club. The brothers were scheduled to spend 2 weeks, but they stayed 36 weeks because people adored them. They were praised for combining folk music with humor. A flamenco dancer harmed one night. Tom and Dick represented her. When they appeared unexpectedly, everyone saw their specialness. After their run, they made $2,000 a week. They earned $2 a night a few months ago. The 1961 film The Smothers Brothers at the Purple Onion. It launched their career. Tom started a collegiate band before joining the Purple Onion. Their name was Casual Quintet. Tom played guitar. Dick learned bass to play with him. One by one they left. Tom and Dick persisted. They joked between songs to kill time. Their style began there. People laughed as much at their brothers' jokes as the music. Sibling tormenting became their specialty. Tom portrayed innocence on stage. Dick was the cool brother. They fought in public. Tom would say, "Mom liked you the most." The crowd cheered. It was real. The way they were. Their entertainment was based on genuine occurrences. So people related. They could have grown by the mid-1960s. NBC's Bonanza outperformed CBS on Sundays. Bonanza was watched by 25% of U.S. TV viewers. Perry Mason and The Gary Moore Show. Among CBS hits were defeated. CBS decided to experiment. Younger people were their target audience. The Smothers Brothers were considered capable. Dick and Tom were original, sharp, and amusing. They hoped they might revive CBS's appeal. The Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour premiered February 5, 1967. It appeared like any other entertainment presentation. Ed Sullivan presented them as typical American kids. After a few shows, they were anything but normal. It was a Vietnam War joke. They mocked leaders. They discussed vital matters. Their jokes were clever and daring. Week after week, they broke rules. Many liked it. They outrated Bonanza in 2 weeks. Younger people watched. Advertisers rejoiced. Tom requested full artistic control before they began. CBS accepted because they needed a hit. They could say what they wanted following that pact. Folk artists like Pete Seeger were asked to sing war resistance songs. President Johnson was mocked on national TV. It felt like every show was special. Every show seemed risky. CBS editors fought them throughout. They fought back, and the band was often part of the performance. The writers were daring like the hosts. Here young comedians Steve Martin, Rob Reiner, Lorne Michaels, and David Steinberg learned to write. Important jokes were made. They broke TV rules. Many permanently altered American humor. Their work changed Saturday Night Live, All in the Family, and Mary Tyler Moore. Something unexpected happened on American TV in 1968. October 6, Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour aired Hey Jude. On September 8th, UK viewers saw it weeks earlier, but this was the first US screening of this type of film. They didn't call it a music video. Known as advertisement films. The Beatles filmed Hey Jude at Twickenham Studios on September 4th. The set was made by Paul McCartney. White tuxedoed men in large groups played. 300 more people sang the finale with the cast. Ringo Starr rejoined the band after a brief hiatus. It went beyond music. It mattered to them. Not only that, the Smothers Brothers humorous show showed change the next week. 2 movies back-to-back gave Americans a new perspective on the Beatles. Not even Ed Sullivan could achieve this. No one could match the Smothers Brothers. This alteration felt significant. The music changed. TV was also changing. Another major occurrence occurred on the same show in 1967. Pete Seeger was summoned to sing. Seeger was TV banned for years. The suspension kept him off the radio for almost 17 years. He finally performed waist deep in the Big Muddy, criticizing Johnson's Vietnam policy. CBS cut the song before September 1967. Tom Smothers would never be quiet. He spread the word. CBS allowed Seeger return because of the outrage. Many eventually saw him sing uncensored on February 25, 1968, the first banned artist to directly criticize the administration. This stunning moment illustrated how protest music might unite people. Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour let bands perform that no one else would. The Who, Doors, Jefferson Airplane, Buffalo Springfield, and Steppenwolf performed in 1967. 69. Bad choices for big-time TV. After one gig, The Who damaged their equipment and let off pyrotechnics in Keith Moon's drum kit. Pete Townshend's ears hurt and objects flew. The Doors performed Touch Me with a choir. Franklin Airplane sung Crown of Creation about nuclear war phobia. Americans heard Steppenwolf's Born to be Wild and Buffalo Springfield's For What It's Worth. The Smothers Brothers could be afraid. They wanted to air these radical views. Famous rock musicians enjoyed that vibe. On April 26, 1969, Jimi Hendrix stopped before a song to commemorate the Smothers Brothers at the Los Angeles Forum. For combining protest and art on TV, he called them heroes. That was Hendrix's greatest period. CBS canceled the show for being too contentious. Hendrix understood. He told everyone the Smothers Boys matter. Never before has music and comedy blended better. They did it smiling. A recurring sketch, Share a Little Tea with Goldie, was a good example. Lee French played hippie Goldie O'Keefe, who was lost in thought and gave multifaceted advice. A code term for pot was tea. She was originally called Goldie Keefe, which means cannabis. Censors changed it, but most home viewers recognized what was going on. No one assumed Goldie meant bugs when she said roaches. Younger viewers appreciated the joke because they thought the show was mocking them. Goldie became a fan hero despite network coverage. Keith Moon never hid anything. On September 17, 1967, The Who appeared on Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. He went further than usual. The band played My Generation, and Moon surprised them. Hidden bombs were in his kick drum. No one agreed to that much. Not even his bandmates understood what would happen. Moon wanted a big, crazy, unforgettable ending. The bombs went off loudly when the song ended. Smoke flew across the stage. Moon retreated when a sign piece hit him. Pete Townshend's hair looked awful due to air infiltration. The force was so intense that Townshend would have lifelong hearing problems. The thunderous noise shook everyone to silence. Screaming and cheering followed. Moon had orchestrated mayhem and a performance as planned. The cost was substantial. One ear would lose 90% hearing. Painful noise continued after that. After many years, Townshend still talked about the discomfort and how the damage made guitar playing tougher. Everyone remembers that, and it transformed how they worked. The guitar appeared. Townshend destroyed Tom Smothers' acoustic guitar on stage amid smoke and pandemonium. She couldn't speak because she was horrified. A loud, radical event revealed the actual individuals and ended the pandemonium. Nobody has the guts to cross those borders. The blast and damaged guitar did more than make headlines. A rock event became famous. Younger fans adored it. Older people raged. The program gave America something raw and uncompromising. Though parents disliked it, youngsters perceived it as freedom. Generational divide was real. It was also what the Who's, Smothers Brothers, and other rebels sought. The show is unforgettable. Joan Baez fussed too. Everyone knew she was a folk singer who advocated peace and justice. Born in Staten Island, New York, on January 9, 1941, she fought for what she believed in her whole life. Baez wasn't arrested for demonstrating until 1967. Her music called to change seekers. Headed on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, she wanted to sing for her husband David Harris, who was headed to jail for 3 years. He opposed the Vietnam War rather than the draft. Baez informed the crowd she was pleased of him on the show, but CBS chopped out most of her speech before she sang. CBS was stressed, as Baez's altered commitment showed. The network wanted to avoid angering donors and the government. LBJ disliked the show because it was awful. Jones stayed up till 3 a.m., phoned CBS, and demanded they manage the Smothers Brothers. Nixon then intensified his efforts to shut them down. The performance featured Harry Belafonte in 1968. Their show was strong. She sang Belafonte. Much obliged for the fare. Much obliged for the fare. Police struck war protesters during the Chicago Democratic National Convention, according to footage. That was brave. It was true. CBS ended the show early. However, there was more. CBS sold the 5 minutes they clipped to the GOP for advertising that night. The supposed demonstration against political violence became a buy of ads for the criticized politicians. A network was apparent on one side. The Smothers Boys were stressed by 1968's end. CBS required lengthy vetting of screenplays, gags, song lyrics, and entire videotapes before airing. It took time to check. Censors would read every word. Anything political was sought. Something about faith, Vietnam, or dumb jokes. Their high standards required everything to meet them. Some darker humored guest stars were deleted or cut out. 10 days before each show, the deadline was set. It was a severe injunction to keep the boys from pushing the lines. It felt like they were stranded, modifying, resubmitting, and waiting for results repeatedly. CBS often requested last-minute modifications hours before the episode aired. Their joking that it felt like being killed repeatedly was accurate. One day, Tom and Dick fought back. Tom played a censor in their sketch, tearing up lines with enormous scissors and stopping actors mid-sentence. The humor was obvious, turning off their show. The finale was bold. Only silence remained on the screen. CBS didn't understand the joke. The network omitted the sketch. According to internal notes, CBS feared the skit damaged their reputation. A similar sketch starring Elaine May was withdrawn. She ended with, "If we can't say anything important, we're just fooling you with empty jokes." Tom was furious. It was so tight that mocking strict restrictions was illegal. Meanwhile, the brothers persisted. Instead of achieving their aims, they played CBS. They would deliver tapes late. They sometimes provided a safe version for evaluation and made adjustments before airing. CBS went bananas. The network said they broke their contract. CBS was fed up in April 1969. They claimed the Smothers Brothers missed a tape deadline, despite evidence that CBS contributed to delays. All of this was just an excuse to end the program. One of the top 10 U.S. shows. The dispute wasn't over due dates. Power was involved. Tom Smothers later said it was a plan to drown them. The press reported the fight. The New York Times harshly criticized CBS for holding the Smothers Brothers hostage to their imagination. More people agreed. CBS received several letters and protests. Politicians and musicians spoke out. There was no longer one show. National TV free speech was involved. CBS employees were uneasy by the opinion. To resolve issues, they rushed talks. Smothers' sons wouldn't back down. They told the truth, Tom clarified. Not just ending our show, to conceal the truth. Television history changed with that stand. CBS had other concerns. Ford and Procter & Gamble, two major sponsors, pulled their advertising. Companies worried the show's anti-war and political gags would alienate customers. Big money was lost rapidly. CBS lost big in a short months. Sponsor pressure prompted the cancellation, according to internal memos. Scaring away sponsors might kill a beloved show. Tom lamented, "We won the lawsuit, but we lost the culture war." Advertisers threatened to punish free speech. Strangely, one joke went too far. Dick impersonated Nixon in March 1969 and joked, "I'll end the Vietnam War as soon as I figure out where the off button is." It was short, crisp, and truthful. CBS was furious, and sponsors were terrified. The new president and Vietnam War moved people. This exacerbated network tension. CBS ended the show April 4th, 1969. Cancellation was immediate. CBS argued they didn't submit the footage on time, but everyone knew it was political. A second season was planned. Another season of The Brothers got renewed a few weeks ago. CBS even removed a taped broadcast where comedian David Steinberg gave another anti-war statement. The episode was never aired in America. The show was in Canada. A bitter rejection came unexpectedly. It warned other artists that straying off beat was dangerous. Court was tough for the Smothers Brothers. 4 years were spent suing CBS for contract breach. In April 1973, they won. The $776,300 was worth over $5.5 million today. Decision created history. It proved networks couldn't stop shows for filtering. But the triumph was good. Their base was gone. Their other work couldn't match their comedic hour. The NBC show was friendlier, but it failed. CBS found a replacement swiftly. Hee Haw, a clean country comedy featuring dumb jokes and country melodies, aired on June 15, 1969. There was no politics, humor, or trouble. CBS sincerely want that. It lasted 23 years. It was a hit, proving networks always choose safe entertainment over dangerous. The conflict altered Tom and Dick. Tom was hardest hit. He says losing the show left him empty years later. It injured his pride and took time to heal. Dick took up car driving and creating wine to trade. The boys will never be the same. They endured scars. The Smothers Brothers tried again in 1970, a year after CBS fired them in 1969. They performed on ABC this time. The attitude altered by summer 1970. ABC was mindful. The network wanted no CBS-like issues. They advised the brothers to relax and monitored them. Defiant fun lost popularity. The Vietnam War ended, and people moved on. The show finished swiftly. ABC didn't grant them a fall slot due to falling ratings. This short run illustrated how tastes change quickly. They were cutting edge 1 year. Suddenly they were behind. They attempted again on NBC in January 1975. The first episode was massive. With 50 shares, it was the 6th most watched U.S. show. That number is unachievable, yet they succeeded briefly. There was stress behind the scenes. The director, Joe Hamilton, and Tom and Dick fought. Tom could not retake without losing salary. They had trouble meeting authors and journalists. Soon the show's ratings plummeted. Hamilton fled in anger. Tom eventually ran the last 4 NBC shows. Their most risky joke was about drugs, which wasn't common in prime time. Big guests included Ringo Starr and George Carlin. Despite these positives, NBC ended the season midway. Networks can destroy even the finest comebacks. Strange things happened in 1988. CBS invited the Smothers Brothers back for an hour-long reunion over 20 years after firing them. They called their 20th reunion the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. The special competed for 3 nighttime Emmys. Former writers Steve Martin and Bob Einstein returned. I felt relaxed and sentimental watching the show. Not everyone liked it, but I felt secure around it. Former political spirit was gone. Not innovative anymore. But fans and reviewers appreciated seeing them again. CBS relaunched their show the same year. Strange times. Writers Guild struck. The brothers continued their old ways without writers. The visitors did much of the humor. They received new texts following the strike. Scores rose somewhat. The show received 5 Emmy nominations, but TV moved on. The relaunch aired 2 seasons from March 1988 to August 1989. Never as effective as the first. Brothers' narrative was permanently recorded in fall 2022. The UC Santa Barbara Performing Arts Collection stole their library. It contained photographs, music sheets, records, contracts, and legal documents. David Seberg, The librarian suggested placing it near the Library of Congress. This collection documents their free speech and humor reform efforts. People study their work decades later. This illustrates that comedy can fight for actual change over power. That was the Smothers Brothers' legacy. They broke regulations before Saturday Night Live. The show ran from 1967 to 1969. War, censorship, and political jokes abounded. SNL writer Lorne Michaels was taught by them. Later, Stephen Colbert, John Oliver, Jon Stewart, and Samantha Bee followed suit. Funny people could tell powerful people the truth and make them ponder. The show also launched comic stars. Steve Martin wrote an early tune. Both Rob Reiner and George Carlin were frequent visitors. Afterward, many believed this show helped them get fame. The brothers made risk-taking safe. That sharpened U.S. humor extended for years. CBS dismissed them in 1969, but CBS canceled their show due to censorship. Despite its high ratings, brothers took them to court. They understood it was crucial for TV free speech. The first humor show to defeat a network. Creative freedom was shown to be important. A narrative shift. This happened during a time of American division over Vietnam, civil rights, and society. A bridge to watch Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. They hosted The Who, Jefferson Airplane, and Simon and Garfunkel. Singer Pete Seeger was expelled for his anti-war song. They exhibited new movies including Beatles' Hey Jude. This was many's first glimpse of the fringe. Bill Maher once summed it up. The brothers weren't afraid to offend people when they disagreed. They weren't trying to please everyone. Funny people stood up for something and made a difference. They remembered that lesson after the show. It's still vital.